What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel, and welcome back to the video. Today, I'll be doing my updated 2025 NASCAR Cup Series silly season predictions. I'm going to go through all the full-time entries and the part-time entries for 2025. So anyways, let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. We're going to start to talk about the one car for Trackhouse Racing. This one once going to be driven by Ross Chastain. While Ross Chastain has struggled a little bit throughout the 2024 season, he has had some very solid performances with Trackhouse Racing as an organization looks to grow in 2025. He's looking for his first win of 2024, but Ross is a really great driver and will stick around with Trackhouse Racing for many years to come, especially with the Busch beer sponsorship. Up next, top of the two car for Team Penske. This is once going to be driven by Austin Cindric, who signed a multi-year contract extension with Team Penske. He also is son of Tim Cindric, who is, of course, the president of Team Penske as well. He also just picked up a most recent victory at Worldwide Technology Raceway in the past week, which has basically saved his career with Team Penske. He's done an okay job so far in 2024, and we'll be looking to build upon that in the 2025 season with Team Penske. Up next, up the three car for Richard Childress Racing. This is once again be driven by Austin Dillon, who recently signed a multi-year contract extension with RCR, according to Jordan Bianchi. There have been rumors, speculation that he was going to be out of his seat at the end of this year, but he'll stick around with RCR. I think in the not-so-distant future, like 2027 or 2028, he could retire. And I know he's been struggling, but he did have a good run at Gateway, but he's looking to turn the season around, continue having some good runs, and he'll stick around with RCR for the foreseeable future. Up next, top of the five car for Hendrick Motorsports. This one once going to be driven by Kyle Larson, who has a contract with Hendrick Motorsports through the 2026 season. Kyle Larson has stated in the last couple months he wants to retire in the not-so-distant future, like next 5 or 6 years by the time he turns 40. But Kyle Larson is still at the top of his game. And I think he's going to continue being at the top of his game for many years to come as he looks to win his second championship in 2024. Nonetheless, he's going to stay with Hendrick Motorsports for the long-term future and for many years to come. Up next, top of the sixth car for RFK Racing. This one once going to be driven by Brad Keselowski, of course, is a co-owner of RFK Racing. Brad Keselowski's had a really good year so far in 2024, currently inside the top 10 in the standings, and we look to continue bring RFK back to championship levels like they were about 10 years ago. Brad Keselowski's done a great job rebuilding the organization and brand and will stick around with RFK Racing for the foreseeable future, including in the 2025 NASCAR Cup season. Up next, top of the seven car for Spire Motorsports. This one's going to be driven by Corey LaJoie, who has a multi-year contract with Spire Motorsports. Well, he's had some struggles so far in 2024. Spire Motorsports really likes Corey LaJoie, and he's bringing sponsorship and funding to the table. Now, 2025 could be a make it or break year because he's been with Spire now for about 4 or 5 years. But Corey, in my opinion, is still a decent and solid driver, and I think he deserves a chance and an opportunity to stay with his organization for the foreseeable future. Nonetheless, he'll stay with Spire Motorsports in 2025 with the 7 team. Up next, how about the A car for Richard Childress Racing? This one's going to be driven by Kyle Busch, who confirmed not too long ago that he'll be staying with RCR at least through the 2025 season. Kyle Busch has had a little bit of a down year in 2024 compared to 2023, but he's still one of the best drivers in NASCAR Cup Series history. He's looking to get a win once again. It's been over a year since his last NASCAR Cup Series victory, but he brings a lot of sponsorship and funding table with help from Richard Childress Racing. He's going to stick around for the foreseeable future and once again be driving a car at least through the 2025 season and maybe longer, as he will turn 40 in 2025. Up next, how about the 9 car for Hendrick Motorsports? This one's going to be driven by Chase Elliott, who currently has a contract with Hendrick through 2027. Chase Elliott has had a really good year so far in 2024, as he still has finished no worse than 19th this season. Chase is looking to win another race throughout the rest of the year and looking to win a second championship. If he doesn't get it this year in 2024, he'll have a really great chance and a strong opportunity to do that in 2025. We'll see what ends up happening, but Chase Elliott will stay with Hendrick Motorsports in 2025. Up next, up with the 11 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. This one's going to be driven by Denny Hamlin, who currently has a contract through, I believe, the 2025 season, meaning that Denny Hamlin will be a free agent next year. I can see Denny Hamlin signing another extension with JTG and closing out his career, but he has stated recently in recent months that he'd like to drive for 23XI Racing, his own organization, in the future. But as of right now, Denny Hamlin is going to stick around and continue driving for Joe Gibbs Racing in the 11 team. Up next, how about the 12th car for Team Penske? This will once again be driven by Ryan Blaney, who signed a multi-year contract extension in the offseason about a year or two ago. Also winning the championship last year really made a major role in him sticking around. Ryan Blaney's been the best driver of Team Penske over the last year or so, and he deserves, in my opinion, to stick around for many more years to come. He's a great talent and great driver and has provided a lot of great things to Penske over the last few years, but he is still looking for his first win of 2025. Up next, up the 13 car for Kaulig Racing. Yes, you heard that right. I think Kaulig Racing is going to run a third part-time entry in 2025. I think AJ Allmendinger is going to stay full-time Xfinity in 2025, but will run select Cup Series starts, especially on the road courses. I think Josh Williams is also going to stick around with Kaulig next year because of sponsorship he brings. And I also think Christian Eckes is going to make select starts. His name has been brought up in the rumors and rumblings in recent seasons as a potential candidate to go Cup racing next year, according to Bob Pockris. I also think that there's drivers like Connor Zilisch and even some drivers in lower series who could have a chance and opportunity to move up in 2025. Nonetheless, this car will stick around in 2025. Up next, how about the 15 car for Ware Racing? There's also going to be changes to the 15 car in the 2025 season, as more than likely a lot of people are speculating that Riley Herbst could be the favorite to land a full-time Ware Racing gig next season. I think Riley's earned a chance and opportunity, and he brings a lot of sponsorship and funding to the table. With him not having a job at SHR, he could stay in Xfinity, but if not, there's some other drivers who could be candidates. You do have Matt DiBenedetto, you do have Haley Deegan as an option, you also have Kaz Grall as an option with the sponsorship they bring. But as of right now, I think the front runner for the seat is clearly Riley Herbst for 2025. Up next, how about the 16 car for Kaulig Racing? There will also be changes in 2025 as there's a lot of talk and chatter that there's going to be 3 drivers only allowed on an organization starting in 2025 with the new charter agreement. I think that this, unfortunately, is going to affect one driver, and that is Zane Smith. And I think Zane Smith is not going to be a part of Trackhouse, but to be loaned out to Kaulig Racing next year. Zane Smith has struggled in the Cup Series, and I think you look at Shane Van Gisbergen, how much better he's been doing in Xfinity. I think that's going to move Zane Smith to Kaulig Racing, where I think Trackhouse is going to do their best to support in a major way. So I think in 2025, Zane Smith moves away from Spire and moves to Kaulig Racing next year. Up next, top of the 17 car for RFK Racing. This will once again be driven by Chris Buescher, who signed a multi-year contract extension with RFK last season. Chris Buescher has been carrying RFK over the last year or so and has been doing a really good job with the team and has come close to winning victories in the last couple of seasons. I expect him to continue driving the 17 car for many years to come and will stay in the 17 car at least through the 2025 season. Up next, how about the 19 car for Joe Gibbs Racing? There could be changes in the 19 car in 2025, but I think that there's a good chance and possibility that Mark Truex Jr. is actually going to come back. He's been having a great year this year with JGR, and I think he deserves another chance and opportunity to stick around. If not, you have to look at Aric Almirola, Chandler Smith, maybe even Chase Briscoe and Erik Jones as potential candidates to get into the 19th seat next year. They've all got funding and sponsorship with them, but more than likely, I think Mark Truex Jr. is going to come back to Joe Gibbs Racing in 2025. Up next, how about the 20 car for Joe Gibbs Racing? This will once again be driven by Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell just picked up his second win of the year at the Coke 600 recently, and JGR really likes him. Now, hopefully with a new contract in the future, he'll be able to go run some dirt races at local dirt tracks, because I think it's been rumored that JGR and Joe Gibbs will not allow him to do that. But Christopher Bell's a great driver. He's starting to show a lot more speed, and I think that Christopher Bell will stay around with JGR for many years to come in that 20 car. Up next, how about the 21 car for the Wood Brothers? There are going to be some changes coming in 2025 to see, as it is expected, that Harrison Burton is not going to be back in the 21 car in 2025. The favorite for the seat currently at the moment is Chase Briscoe. Chase Briscoe has really big connections with the Ford organizations, and Chase Briscoe's name has been linked to this ride for the last couple of weeks. I think Chase Briscoe takes over for Harrison Burton. Harrison Burton has struggled immensely with the Wood Brothers. I think he could land at Ware Racing next year as a potential possibility, but I think right now Chase Briscoe, because we know SHR is shutting down, I think Chase Briscoe is going to go to the Wood Brothers in 2025. Up next, talk about the 22 car for Team Penske. This one once again be driven by Joey Logano, who currently has a contract with Team Penske through the 2027 or 28 season. While Joey Logano struggled in certain instances the last couple of years, he is still extremely passionate about the sport and loves NASCAR. He's a great driver, one of the best in NASCAR history, and I don't think anything's changing here. I think he'll stay in the 22 car, at least for the foreseeable future. Up next, how about the 23 car for 23XI Racing? This is expected to once again be driven by Bubba Wallace, who is very close to signing a multi-year contract extension with 23XI. And you look at his performance. Bubba's been doing a really good job with 23XI. That's why they're going to extend him, because he's been pretty close to Reddick in performances a lot this year. Bubba also brings a lot of sponsorship and funding to the table, which would be a massive and huge reason why he's going to stay with 23XI Racing in 2025. Up next, talk about the 24 car for Hendrick Motorsports. This will once again be driven by William Byron, who does have a contract through 2025. But I do expect that William Byron is going to sign a multi-year extension with Hendrick Motorsports in the coming seasons. He's been carrying Hendrick Motorsports, been doing a really good job with the organization, has won a lot of races the last 2 years. He's been moving up on the winning ranks. I think he's got 13 or 14 wins in Cup. William Byron for sure will stick around with Hendrick Motorsports in 2025. Up next, talk about the 29 car for Richard Childress Racing. Yes, I think RCR is going to expand their operation to a 3-car operation and 4 cars potentially as well. This is going to be a part-time entry driven by Will Brown, Austin Hill, and Jesse Love, and maybe Brody Kosecki as well. I think Will Brown will make some more starts in Cup. I think Austin Hill is going to make more starts because I think he's signed a contract to drive the 21 going forward in Xfinity. I think this will be the team in the 29 car in 2025. Up next, how about the 31 car for Kaulig Racing? This one once again be driven by Daniel Hemrick, who does have a contract with the team going forward, at least through, I believe, 2025. He basically got sponsorship funding coming to the table, which would be a massive reason why he's going to stick around. I know his performance has not been amazing at Kaulig, but I think Kaulig really likes him, and I think he's going to stick around with the team at least through the 2025 season with Kaulig. Up next, how about the 33 car for Richard Childress Racing? Like I mentioned with the 29, I think the 33 car will be a third full-time entry in 2025 as they are likely going to purchase a charter from Suarez Racing. Who will be the driver? I think it's going to be Noah Gragson. Noah Gragson is bringing a lot of funding to the table, and there's that Bass Pro Shops connection as they work really closely with him, and Bass Pro works really closely with RCR. So I think in the 2025 season, I think Noah Gragson moves back in the Chevrolet camp and works with RCR with Bass Pro Shops sponsoring. Up next, how about the 34 car for Front Row Motorsports? There are going to be changes to the 34 car next season as members announced that Michael McDowell will be leaving to go to Spire Motorsports next year. So who's going to take the seat? The front runner is Cole Custer. Cole Custer brings sponsorship funding to the table, and Haas is expected to be involved in some sort of capacity working with him. Cole has done a really good job in Xfinity. He won the championship last year. I think a lot of people in the industry feel like he deserves another chance and opportunity, and I do truly believe that Cole Custer is going to get that chance and opportunity to move the front row in 2025. Up next, how about the 36 car for Front Row Motorsports? We know Front Row Motorsports is expanding to a 3-car operation next year. So who's going to drive the 36 car? Well, I think it's a current SHR driver, and that, of course, is Josh Berry. Josh Berry and I think Ronnie Toes are going to be a package deal next season. I think Josh Berry deserves another chance. There's been some rumors that maybe his future is a little uncertain too, but I do believe that Josh Berry is going to get the chance and opportunity. I mentioned people say Ryan Preece as well, but I can see Ryan Preece going also to Rick Ware next year. But I think Josh Berry with the Ronnie Childress connection, I think he goes to the 36 car in 2025. Up next, top of the 38 car for Front Row Motorsports. This will once again be driven by Todd Gilliland, who's very close to signing a multi-year extension with Front Row Motorsports. Todd Gilliland's been doing a really good job this year with Front Row and has been getting a lot of great finishes, a lot of finishes inside the top 20. I think the last 4 races he's finished in the top 20 in a row. I think that he deserves a chance and opportunity to continue driving this car. He's done a great job, and he'll stick around with Front Row Motorsports at least for the foreseeable future, including in the 2025 season. Up next, how about the 42 car for Legacy Motor Club? I'm not expecting any changes. I believe John Nemechek is going to stay in the 42 car in 2025. He had been rumored to maybe go to JGR next year, but I think that John Hunter is going to stick with Legacy. Legacy really likes him. I know their performance has not been amazing, but I think that he's looking to bring that program back up and get him a lot better going forward. So I think in 2025, he's going to stick around with Legacy Motor Club in his second year at the team. Up next, how about the 43 car for Legacy Motor Club? I'm not expecting any changes with the 43 car. I know Erik Jones' name recently has been brought up as a possibility going back to JGR, but I think Erik Jones is going to stay at Legacy. He's been with this 43 team for the last 4 years. He's been doing a solid job, not amazing, but he's been doing a solid job. And he's won some races, and he's got a chance to make the playoffs still this season despite missing a few races. So I think Erik Jones is going to stick around, and I believe he'll stay in the 43 car, at least for the foreseeable future, including in 2025. Up next, how about the 44 car for NY Racing? Yes, I think NY Racing is going to come back in 2025 with more than likely JJ Yeley. JJ Yeley has been working with NY Racing for many years. I know some mentioned Greg Biffle as a possibility, but I think more than likely if we see this car back, I think JJ Yeley is going to bring the driver because of the sponsorship and the funding he brings to the organization and NASCAR. Up next, how about the 45 car for 2311 Racing? This one once again be driven by Tyler Reddick, who has a multi-year contract with 2311. Tyler Reddick's been having a great year so far and has been a championship contender, one of the few guys that can keep up with Hendrick and Gibbs for a majority of the season. I don't think anything's going to change going forward. I think Reddick's going to be a lifelong contract with the team as he looks to win his first championship in 2024. And if not, he could do it in 2025 with 2311 Racing in that organization. Up next, how about the 47 car for JTG Daugherty Racing? Now, the driver's not going to be changing in 2025 as Ricky Stenhouse Jr. signed a multi-year contract extension with the team. But there's going to be an ownership change at this organization. My early prediction right now is that I think that either Kevin Harvick or some investor is going to come in because Tad and Jody Kushector are going to JGR and bringing Kroger over. But as of right now, there's nothing changing. There could be manufacturer change, but there will not be a driver change going to 2025. As Ricky Stenhouse Jr. will stay in the number 47 car at least through the 2025 season. Up next, how about the 48 car for Hendrick Motorsports? This one once getting driven by Alex Bowman, who has a contract through 2026. I know some people say we should get rid of Bowman, but I completely disagree. Alex Bowman's, like I said, has been doing a really solid job with the team, and he brings a lot of funding to the table with Ally supporting him in a major way. So nothing's going to change next year. I think he's a great talent, one of the best drivers in the field. Still, I believe in the top 10 in the points. I think he'll do a really good job and will stick around with the team, at least for the foreseeable future. Up next, how about the 50 car for Team Amerette Racing? I think this team will come back next year, and I think it's going to be with Ty Dillon. I know Ty Dillon wants to move back up to Cup, but I think he's going to drive for Team Amerette once again. If not, I think Jeffrey Hart could be a candidate for this seat. But I think most likely if this team comes back to the Cup Series in 2025, I think most likely Ty Dillon will be the likely candidate to get into the seat in the 2025 season with this organization. Up next, how about the 51 car for Ware Racing? This one once again be driven by Justin Haley, who has a multi-year contract with Ware Racing. Now, his name's been mentioned as a possibility for RFK, but I do believe that Justin Haley is going to stick around with Ware. They're starting to build a lot of performance, and he's been doing a really good job with the Ware Racing group this year. He's got a lot of talent. He brings a lot of out on the equipment. He's been getting a lot better finishes. I think they're really starting to show what performance they can have, so I think he's going to stick around with Ware in the 2025 season. Up next, how about the 54 car for Joe Gibbs Racing? There won't be any changes in 2025 as Ty Gibbs is a lifelong contract with him being the grandson of Joe Gibbs. Ty Gibbs also has been having a very solid season with this team this year. And I feel like he's getting closer and closer to picking up that first career victory. He should have won a race or two this year with how much speed he's shown. But he won't be changing anything going forward. I expect Ty Gibbs to not make any moves, and he'll stay in the 54 car next season. Up next, how about the 60 car for RFK Racing? This, of course, is going to be the Sage 60 car. Now, I don't think they're going to be buying a third charter because Braggs honestly has stated that they do need a third charter and $30 million. I think this car will run more races though next year. I look at Cam Waters as being a candidate. I think David Reagan could make some starts. I think Matt DiBenedetto and Frankie Muniz could be candidates potentially. And I even think Haley Deegan could be a candidate as well. I think there's also some drivers like Mike Rockenfeller could be in the running and even Chase Briscoe if he doesn't go to the Wood Brothers. Nonetheless, I think this car is going to come back with a multitude of drivers throughout the 2025 season. Up next, how about the 62 car for Beard Motorsports? Yes, I think this team is going to come back in 2025, and I think it's going to be of two drivers, Parker Retzlaff and Anthony Alfredo. Two drivers, of course, will be driving for BMM Motorsports this year. Parker's making his debut with them later this year at Daytona. And we know Anthony Alfredo is going to be driving the 62 at Talladega in the fall, as it was announced earlier today. Both bring sponsorship to the table, and both have a lot of great talent, and are also very good at super speedways as well. Up next, talk about the 66 car for MBM Motorsports. I think MBM's coming back in 2025 with more races, probably half the season. I think most likely it'll be Timmy Hill and Davis Starr that'll be the drivers, but I'll throw Sage Karam as a possibility as well on road courses. Timmy Hill and Davis Starr have driven for MBM a lot in the past. I think they come back and they bring those two drivers as the organization for the 2025 NASCAR Cup season. Up next, talk about the 67 car for 20-11 Racing. I think 20-11 Racing will finally expand to 3 full-time cars in 2025. Most likely, Corey Heim is the front-running candidate in favor. Corey Heim's been doing a really, really great job in trucks. He, of course, will make another Cup start with the team later this year with 20-11 Racing in about a week or so in Nashville. I think he jumps in this car full-time next season. If not, I could see Kurt Busch coming in. I know some mentioned Carl Edwards, but he's not getting back behind the wheel anytime soon. I also think there's other candidates like, of course, maybe Chandler Smith as well if he doesn't go to JGR. But I think right now Corey Heim is the front runner, and I clearly think that 20-11 Racing is finally going to make the call to expand next year. Up next, how about 71 car for Spire Motorsports? There will be changes to the seat in 2025 as Michael McDowell will be joining Spire Motorsports full-time in 2025 as this is a multi-year deal. Michael McDowell was looking for job security. You look at his performance. He always gets the best out of equipment, and I think he's going to be that veteran that this team really needs. Don't disrespect to Carson Hocevar and Corey LaJoie. But I think Michael McDowell is a great talent. He's been getting into his prime. He will for sure be joining Spire Motorsports in the 2025 season. Up next, talk about 77 car for Spire Motorsports. There won't be any changes in 2025 as Carson Hocevar will be back in the 77 car next season. I know Carson Hocevar's name has been mentioned as a possibility of going to a team like Trackhouse, but for 2025, he's going to stick around. He just got a top 10 at Gateway. He's a really great talent in my opinion and always gets the best out of equipment. I think he will for sure be going over and staying with Spire Motorsports at least for the foreseeable future, including in the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series season. Up next, talk about 78 car for Live Fast Motorsports. I think his team is going to come back and run part-time with BJ McLeod. I think most likely on super speedways, maybe a couple additional races that bring purses, including at the Coke 600 potentially. I think BJ McLeod will be the prime driver, but I could see other drivers getting the chance and opportunity to race as well from Xfinity. Nonetheless, I think BJ McLeod will be the driver of the seat, as he does own the organization. Up next, talk about the 84 car for Legacy Motor Club. There is a chance this could be a third full-time entry, but I don't think that's going to happen because I think they should focus on 2 full-time cars. I think Jimmy Johnson is going to run a few races next year, including the Daytona 500, and I think Sheldon Creed could get an opportunity as well. I think that's what is likely going to be. I think Sheldon Creed's been mentioned as a possibility to move up full-time next season. I think Jimmy Johnson and Sheldon Creed will be the likely drivers behind the wheel of the seat in 2025. Up next, talk about the 88 car for Junior Motorsports. Yes, I think Junior Motorsports is finally going to be going Cup racing next year. I think there's a few options. You have Sammy Smith. Sammy Smith brings sponsorship and funding to the table. You have Sam Mayer. Sponsorship funding comes into play. Justin Allgaier brings funding and sponsorship as well. Same, of course, with Brandon Jones. But I think Connor Zilic is another one to watch for. Connor's got to deal with Trackhouse, and I think he wants to make Cup starts next year. I think that's what's going to end up happening, and I think, like I said, Junior Motorsports is finally going to make the jump up to the Cup Series in the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series season as Dale Jr. is a little interested in getting a charter. Up next, talk about the 97 car for Trackhouse Racing. I think Trackhouse Racing is going to buy one of the SHR charters next season, and I think instead of choosing Zane Smith, I think they're going to choose Shane Van Gisbergen, also known as SVG. SVG has been doing a really good job in Xfinity this year, just picked up his first career NASCAR Xfinity Series victory, and I think that's going to be just enough for him to move up, and he's been getting better on ovals. I think that's going to be the key. Plus, he's got the Red Bull and the WeatherTech sponsorship, among other things. I think he's a front runner to go full-time with this team. It sounds like Zane Smith might get kicked out, and Shane Van Gisbergen more than likely will be in the Cup Series with Trackhouse Racing on a full-time basis next season. And finally, let's talk about the 99 car for Trackhouse Racing. There's not expected to be any changes with the C. Daniel Suarez is expected to sign a multi-year extension with Trackhouse Racing. He's got funding and sponsorship. I know it's a contract year for him, and I know he struggled a little bit at times. But like I said, Suarez brings the funding and sponsorship to the table. So going into next season, I think that Daniel Suarez is going to stick around and will stay with Trackhouse Racing at least through the 2025 and maybe even 2026 NASCAR Cup Series seasons with the team and organization. So that is my 2025 NASCAR Cup Series silly season predictions. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, it does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support my Patreon as well. Listeners below that, and comment your thoughts below on today's video. What are your 2025 NASCAR silly season predictions? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If any major news breaks early this morning, I'll have a video discussing that here on the channel. Then tomorrow on the channel, I'll have a NASCAR news video discussing news over the course of the last couple of days. And I will also have the Xfinity Series race picks. Then Thursday, I'll have Cup race picks for Sonoma. And I will also have, of course, the Penske video dropping for Sonoma. And then on Friday, we'll have a NASCAR news video dropping on the channel. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.